Guys, so today that we're gonna make something like to talk about Chowder, even though like it's been 6 years ago, like since she left, even though like it's been like raining today, even though like more like a gloomy day today too in the California weather, or I should say California. So yeah. So okay. Where do I start? Okay, it was just like a normal February 16th 2020. you know my other grandparents, they were about to leave that day because they came to visit us in Arizona. I was living in Arizona at the time with my parents, and mind you, I was 17 years old. I was in my senior year. I was in high school. A 17-year-old girl, just like a normal 17-year-old girl, will go to high school and all that. Like, all 17-year-old kids will go to high school, you know. And so, my mom got a phone call. She got a phone call from my other grandmother that that Chowder was at the hospital. And you know, Chowder was at the hospital, like my grandma was like noticing that, she wasn't moving. She was just laying there like most of the time. And most of the time that Chowder would move around, like she'll move around like how a normal dog would do. Like she'll just move around like just simple as a normal dog would do. But even though on that day of February 16th of 2020, she wasn't moving around. She wasn't just like, she was there. But like, yeah. And yeah. And so they said that that the doctor had told my grandma and my aunt that that Chowder had a heart condition. And then they told my mom on the phone. And suddenly my mom told me what happened. And I would never forget that my 17-year-old self was broken down of like crying and crying. That like my mom was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to like have them do surgery, or just put her down? I'm like, no, have them do surgery. Like have them do like whatever they need to do, to make that pain, that the heart condition, like to go away. And so they told my grandma and my aunt about it. They told the doctor about what to do, the surgery, to do the procedures and all that. And so they told that. And then I think it was like hours later, they found something like inside of her heart. That something inside of her heart, it was like literally torn. Like it was torn, like ripped, like the strings, like in the, I think it was the strings or something. So something inside the heart that was ripped. And then they say like, you know what, the best thing to do is to put her down. Me, when I heard that, I started crying. And then my parents like literally packed her things and left the house, and my sister too. My sister, she was in kindergarten at the time. And she was in kindergarten, and so she found out what happened. And then she started crying too as well. And then my mom and my dad's try to like hold his emotions together too as well. But yeah. And and we were on our way there. I couldn't like stop crying. And then like the hospital was like open for like 24 hours, like 24/7 hours. So we didn't get there until like I don't remember, like it was like 6 or 7 at the hospital in California, the pet hospital that we went to. And then and my other grandparents came, and I gave my grandma a hug, from my dad's side. And then the other 2 people came too as well. And then yeah, so it was just my dad's parents and the other 2 people. And then my aunt, my grandma were there to just to like support me and all that. And mind you, like I was crying because I was like going through a lot. Like no 17-year-old girl should never have to go through that. You know, none that 17-year-old girl was prepared that, you know, she's gonna lose her dog. You know, that she knew well that she was gonna end up losing her dog. You know, and so yeah. And I would never forget, like when the doctor came in, the doctor like was like saying that like, oh well, you know, like she's having a, like, you know, like she was just telling what my grandma told, you know, my mom and everything, you know, and stuff like that. And then she was like, you know, like I'll give you guys like a few minutes or stuff like that to say goodbye to her. And then we did say bye to her, and then we definitely say bye to her. And then we finally, like, you know, we were saying our last goodbyes, you know, like that day I just want to hold her again. I want to hold her and held her again, because you know what, like she was my first dog, you know. And then she was my first dog, she was my first puppy, you know. And you know, and then like few minutes or few hours like later or something like that, the doctor came in, and then the doctor was able to, you know, put her down. And that's how. And yeah, so I had to stay because I didn't want to leave her. I didn't want to leave Chowder, you know. I would never leave my dog, you know. I didn't want to leave her or anything like that, you know. So my aunt stayed with me, my grandma stayed with me, and while my mom and my other grandparents and the other two people and my sister had to stay in the lobby, you know, because yeah. And then they finally said their last goodbye to her. And then when the doctor checked her heart, the doctor was saying that, you know, she's gone. And I broke down crying and crying and crying. Now I feel like I want to cry right now, but you know what, I'm staying strong, you know. Like I feel like I want to cry right now, because now knowing that it's 6 years ago, you know, like stuff like that. So, and then, you know, and then we were able like to put her like in the box where she has all the ashes in there, where she's in the ashes, like all that. And then and I remember when COVID was still a thing, you know, like around, I would say like around Father's Day weekend, my dad and I went over there. And then my dad had to do an errand, my dad had to do something. And then we bought her home. My grandma gave me like like my dog's Chowder's ashes. She was in that little box. Mind you, she's in a little box, you know. She's over there inside my vanity. And so other than that, like she's in that box, you know, like in this time, it's like the box is like this big, but not like this big, but it's like this big, you know. And so yeah, I was able to bring her home. I was able to read that letter. Like I would never forget that quote. It said, "Do not cry," even though like I'm that kind of girl that cries, you know. Like I'm the kind of dog owner that cries, who just lost her dog, you know, and stuff like that. That it was just unexpected. Like I was never expecting that to happen, you know. And the fact, I kept telling myself, I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, you know what? I would give my 17-year-old girl, myself, a hug, and saying that like, you don't deserve what happened, you know. Like you don't deserve what happened to you the day when that happened, you know. That everybody knows that she's just your dog, you know. And knowing that like 23-year-old, knowing that I'm 23 years old, and then I would say that to my 17-year-old self, that 17-year-old girl, you know, I would have said something like that, you know, that it's not your fault of what happened to you. It's not your fault that this happened to you, like, you know, sooner. Like it's not, at the end of the day, it's not, you know, that you were going through a lot that day, you know. I still talk about Chowder 24/7. Yes, I still talk about her 24/7. I seen her in my dreams. I seen her ever in my dreams, because you know what? At least that I thought about her. I think about her. You know, like she will always be in my dreams and all that. And knowing the fact that I think it was like last weekend or 2 weeks ago, the Super Bowl halftime show when Bad Bunny played that song, well, he played that song. That song made me cry because it reminded me of Chowder. Because like when Bad Bunny said that, like, oh, like I wish I would have taken more photos of you. That's the line that kind of reminded me of her. Like I would have, like how I wish I would have took a lot more photos with Chowder and all that. Even though, like, you know, it made me cry that day. That day on the Super Bowl. But yeah, you know, and I was still always honor of her. I'm always gonna be posting, you know, her memories and everything, you know, on my social media and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, she's my dog. She's everybody's dog, you know, like she will always be here. She will always be here, you know, and I know, like, you know, she will always be in here in my heart. And I'm gonna give a quote that I've thought about and said, like, you know, that it's okay to cry. You know, let it out. Let it out. You know, like it's okay to cry. It's okay to breathe. It's okay to do all these other things all at once. You know, it's okay to talk to someone about grieving. It's okay to talk about when someone passes away. It's okay that you're grieving about this person, whether or not they're, you know. But, you know, that is all I have. Comment, like, subscribe, and yeah. So anyways, thank you for watching.